The massive doors of the Galactic Justice Tribunal opened with a deep rumble that echoed through the enormous chamber. On Space Station Nexus Prime, Lisa Martinez walked forward in quantum shackles that glowed blue around her wrists and ankles. Her military boots made soft clicking sounds on the polished metal floor as hundreds of alien eyes watched her every step. Behind her walked Rex, a large German shepherd with cybernetic implants that gleamed silver along his skull and spine. The dog's enhanced brown eyes scanned the courtroom with the same tactical awareness as his human partner. The year was 2387, and this was the most watched trial in galactic history. Representatives from 12 different alien species filled the curved rows of seats that rose up like an amphitheater around the central floor. News cameras from across the galaxy focused on the human woman and her dog as they approached the defendant's platform. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime to convert dozens of different alien languages into understandable speech. Judge Vorthak sat at the center of the judicial panel. The crystalline being stood nearly 10 feet tall with a body that looked like living diamond. Light refracted through his transparent form in rainbow patterns as he moved. To his left sat Judge Krelan, an aquatic Morian whose blue-green skin glistened with moisture from the life support tank that surrounded her chair. On the right was Judge Nalvex, an insectoid Thrakari whose compound eyes reflected the courtroom lights like black mirrors. Lisa stepped onto the platform and the quantum field hummed to life around her. The energy barrier was invisible, but she could feel it pressing against her skin like a gentle electric current. Rex sat beside her in perfect military position. His cybernetic implants connected him to the station's computer networks, and he could process information faster than any organic brain. The dog's enhanced senses picked up fear pheromones from some aliens and curiosity from others. The prosecutor stood and walked to the center of the floor. Nalthor was a Scythian with snake-like features and scaled green skin. His forked tongue flicked out as he spoke in a voice that carried perfectly through the chamber's acoustic systems. "We are here today to witness justice for the war crimes committed by this human during the Battle of Kepler 442b. The prosecutor's words were translated instantly into dozens of languages. The defendant, Lisa Martinez, used excessive force and violated the Geneva Accords of 2341 during humanity's aggressive expansion into Zeltharian space." Murmurs rippled through the alien audience. Many species in the galaxy viewed humans as violent primitives who had only recently achieved interstellar travel. The Zeltharian Empire was one of the oldest civilizations in known space, and their complaint against humanity carried significant political weight. Lisa kept her face expressionless as the charges were read. She had heard them all before during the preliminary hearings. Rex shifted slightly, and his cybernetic implants recorded every detail of the proceedings. The dog's enhanced memory system stored not just visual and audio information, but also electromagnetic signatures, chemical traces in the air, and subtle body language cues that most beings would miss. His loyalty to Lisa was absolute, but his military training kept him focused on gathering intelligence. Judge Vorthak spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes made of crystal. "The accused will state her name and rank for the record." The translation systems worked to convert his harmonic speech into understandable words. Lisa stood straighter and looked directly at the judicial panel. "Commander Lisa Martinez, United Earth Space Forces, serial number 7749 Delta Kilo." Her voice carried clearly through the chamber without any sign of fear or uncertainty. The defense attorney stepped forward from his position near the platform. Colonel Jake Murphy was a retired space marine with gray hair and numerous scars from his own military service. He wore the formal blue uniform of the Earth Defense Advocate Corps. "Your Honors, my client pleads not guilty to all charges. The actions taken during the Battle of Kepler 442b were necessary defensive measures to protect human colonists from unprovoked Zeltharian aggression." Nalthor hissed softly in what might have been amusement. "The evidence will show that human military tactics are barbaric beyond galactic standards. The defendant personally killed over 200 Zeltharian soldiers using primitive kinetic weapons." The prosecutor activated a holographic display that showed orbital footage of the battle. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers across the surface of the distant planet. Lisa watched the footage without emotion. She remembered every shot she had taken during those desperate hours. Each target had been carefully chosen to protect the human colony of New Houston from the Zeltharian invasion force. But the orbital cameras could not show the complete tactical picture or the reasons behind her actions. Only Rex had been close enough to record everything through his enhanced sensor. The alien jury consisted of representatives from species that had never experienced the kind of partnership between humans and animals. To them, Rex was simply a trained beast with some technological improvements. They could not understand the bond between soldier and dog that had been forged through years of shared danger and mutual trust. The cybernetic implants in Rex's brain allowed him to process tactical information and make independent decisions. But the alien saw only an obedient pet. Judge Krelan gestured with a webbed hand and her aquatic voice bubbled through the translation system. The court recognizes the serious nature of these charges. War crimes against any galactic species cannot be tolerated if we are to maintain peace among the stars. Water droplets fell from her life support system and sparkled in the courtroom lights. Lisa felt the weight of galactic opinion pressing down on her like a physical force. Earth's membership in the Galactic Federation was still new and tentative. A conviction here could result in humanity being expelled from the galactic community and losing access to interstellar trade routes. Billions of human lives depended on the outcome of this trial. Rex sensed his partner's stress through biosensors in his collar. The dog's tail remained still, but his ears moved slightly as he tracked sounds throughout the enormous chamber. His cybernetic memory banks contained over 40 hours of detailed recordings from the Battle of Kepler 442b. Every conversation, every tactical decision, and every moment of the conflict was stored in quantum encrypted files that could not be altered or destroyed. The session would continue for days, as both sides presented their evidence and arguments. But the real truth lay hidden in the enhanced mind of a loyal dog who had never left his partner's side. The second day of the trial began with Prosecutor Nalthor presenting holographic evidence that filled the entire center of the courtroom. The three-dimensional images showed the planet Kepler 442b from orbit, with the human colony of New Houston, visible as a cluster of silver domes and connecting tunnels. The prosecutor's scaled fingers gestured at specific locations as he spoke to the alien jury. The Zeltharian fleet approached this world in response to illegal human expansion into our sovereign territory. Nalthor's forked tongue flicked out between words as the translation systems converted his speech. They came in peace to negotiate the return of our ancestral lands. The holographic display zoomed in to show Zeltharian ships hanging in space above the planet like silver crescents against the black void. Lisa sat perfectly still in her quantum restraints as she watched the prosecution's version of events unfold. The orbital footage showed her taking position on a rocky outcrop overlooking the colony with her sniper rifle. Through the enhanced cameras, she looked like a predator stalking prey as she moved from target to target with mechanical precision. The alien jury watched in silence as human military efficiency was presented as unnecessary brutality. Rex lay beside the defendant's platform, with his head up and ears alert. His cybernetic implants were recording everything, but he remained motionless except for the occasional flick of his tail. The dog's enhanced hearing picked up whispered conversations among the alien spectators. Many were already convinced of human guilt before hearing the complete story. The Scythian prosecutor had done his work well in painting humanity as aggressive monsters. The holographic display shifted to show ground-level footage from Zeltharian combat cameras. The images were grainy and jumped around as soldiers moved through the colony streets. Human civilians could be seen running for shelter as Zeltharian forces advanced with their energy weapons drawn. The prosecutor froze the image on a group of human children, hiding behind an overturned transport vehicle. These innocent Zeltharian peacekeepers were forced to defend themselves when humans refused to negotiate. Nalthor pointed at the frozen image with one clawed finger. The defendant Lisa Martinez began her campaign of terror from her sniper position, killing soldiers who were only trying to maintain order. The prosecutor's voice carried false sadness as he described the alleged human aggression. Colonel Murphy shifted in his seat but remained silent during the prosecution's presentation. The defense attorney's weathered face showed no emotion as he watched the twisted version of events. He had reviewed all the evidence many times and knew that the orbital footage only showed part of the story. The real truth was hidden in sensor data and tactical recordings that the prosecution either could not access or chose to ignore. The holographic display showed Lisa's rifle firing with deadly accuracy across impossible distances. Each shot eliminated a Zeltharian soldier with surgical precision. To the alien jury, it looked like a human warrior hunting their enemies for sport. The prosecution did not explain why each target was specifically chosen or what those soldiers were actually doing. When they died, Judge Vorthak's crystalline body reflected the courtroom, lights as he leaned forward to examine the evidence more closely. The ancient being had presided over thousands of trials but had never seen military precision quite like this. Human accuracy with kinetic weapons was far beyond what most galactic species could achieve with their energy-based systems. The judge found it both impressive and disturbing. Rex could smell the fear and uncertainty in the courtroom air through his enhanced olfactory sensors. The alien jury was being emotionally manipulated by the prosecution's selective presentation of evidence. The dog's tactical programming analyzed the prosecutor's body language and vocal patterns. Nalthor was lying about key details, but doing it skillfully enough that most aliens would not detect the deception. The prosecution's holographic display shifted to show the aftermath of the battle. Destroyed Zeltharian vehicles lay scattered across the colony grounds like broken toys. Bodies were covered with silver sheets that reflected the alien sun. The prosecutor gestured dramatically at the scene of destruction, while addressing the jury in his serpentine voice. Over 200 Zeltharian soldiers died in this unprovoked human attack. Nalthor paused to let the number sink in among the alien spectators. Many of these warriors had families waiting for them to return home safely. The prosecutor activated personal holographic images of some of the dead soldiers. Alien faces looked out at the jury with expressions frozen in time. Lisa felt a twinge of regret as she looked at the faces of beings she had killed. Every soldier understood that death was part of their profession, but that did not make it easier to see the personal cost of warfare. However, she also remembered why each of those shots had been necessary. The prosecution was not showing what those soldiers had been doing to human civilians when they died. The holographic evidence continued for 3 more hours as the prosecution built their case against human military tactics. Nalthor presented expert testimony from Zeltharian military analysts who claimed that Lisa's actions violated multiple sections of the Galactic War Crimes Code. The sniper's use of kinetic weapons was described as primitive and excessively lethal compared to standard energy weapons that could be set to stun. Judge Kreelan asked several technical questions about human weapons and tactics through her aquatic translation system. The Morian judge seemed genuinely curious about how kinetic projectiles could be so much more accurate than energy weapons over long distances. The prosecutor explained that humans still used primitive gunpowder-based weapons because they lacked the technology for more civilized alternatives. Rex knew that explanation was completely false. Human railguns and Gauss rifles were far more advanced than most alien energy weapons, and much more effective in battlefield conditions. The dog's technical databases contained detailed specifications for every weapon system used. During the Battle of Kepler 442b, his cybernetic implants had recorded the electromagnetic signatures of both human and Zeltharian equipment throughout the conflict. The prosecution's final piece of evidence was a recording of radio communications between Zeltharian forces during the battle. The translation showed soldiers crying out in pain and calling for medical assistance as they fell to Lisa's rifle fire. The prosecutor played the audio with the volume turned up so that every being in the courtroom could hear the distress in alien voices. This is the sound of unnecessary suffering caused by human barbarism. Nalthor gestured toward the defendant's platform where Lisa sat with her face like stone. The defendant showed no mercy and took no prisoners during her rampage across our peaceful forces. The prosecutor's closing statement resonated through the chamber as alien jury members exchanged meaningful looks. Colonel Murphy finally stood to address the court as the prosecution concluded their presentation. The defense attorney's military bearing was evident as he walked to the center of the floor. Your Honors, the prosecution has shown you selected evidence that supports their predetermined conclusions. His voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded troops in actual combat situations. Rex watched his partner's defender with approval. The dog's behavioral analysis subroutines identified Colonel Murphy as a genuine warrior who understood the realities of battlefield decision-making. However, the alien jury was already emotionally invested in the prosecution's version of events and would be difficult to convince otherwise. The trial was far from over, but the odds were stacking against humanity. Colonel Murphy stood in the center of the courtroom with his hands clasped behind his back in military fashion. The defense attorney had spent the morning presenting counter-evidence to the prosecution's claims, but the alien jury remained skeptical of human explanations. Technical data about weapons accuracy and tactical necessity seemed to bounce off their preconceptions like rain off armor plating. The prosecution would have you believe that Commander Martinez acted with unnecessary brutality during the Battle of Kepler 442b. Murphy's voice carried clearly through the chamber's translation systems. However, their evidence shows only selected moments without the complete tactical context. The defense attorney activated his own holographic display showing detailed battlefield maps and troop movement patterns. Judge Nalvex clicked his mandibles together in what might have been impatience. The insectoid Thracari had compound eyes that reflected multiple images of the courtroom like fractured mirrors. Counselor Murphy, your technical explanations do not address the central issue. The judge's buzzing voice was electronically processed to be understandable to other species. Why did your client choose lethal force when non-lethal alternatives were available? The defense attorney paused before answering. He had been a combat officer long enough to understand that aliens who had never faced real warfare could not grasp the split-second decisions required in life-or-death situations. Your Honor, battlefield conditions rarely allow for perfect choices. Murphy gestured toward the tactical displays. Commander Martinez made the best decisions possible with the information available to her. Prosecutor Nalthor rose from his position with a soft, hissing sound. The Scythian's scaled skin glistened under the courtroom lights as he prepared to object. The defense continues to make excuses for inexcusable behavior. His forked tongue flicked out between words. Human military doctrine clearly prioritizes killing over more civilized approaches to conflict resolution. Lisa watched the legal arguments with growing frustration. Both sides were debating theoretical principles, while ignoring the actual reality of what had happened on Kepler 442b. She knew that Rex had recorded every moment of the battle through his cybernetic systems. The dog's enhanced sensors had captured details that no other witness could provide. If the court would only listen to his testimony, the truth would become clear. Rex lay beside the defendant's platform with his ears moving slightly as he tracked sounds throughout the chamber. The dog's tactical subroutines were analyzing the prosecution's evidence and finding dozens of inconsistencies and omissions. His quantum-encrypted memory banks contained proof that the Zeltharian forces had committed serious war crimes before the battle even began. The question was whether anyone would believe testimony from what they considered a mere animal. Colonel Murphy continued his presentation for another hour, but the alien jury seemed unconvinced by purely technical arguments. The defense attorney could prove that Lisa's actions were tactically sound, but could not convey the emotional and moral context that had driven her decisions. Combat was more than just mathematics and ballistics. It required understanding the human cost of every choice made under extreme pressure. Judge Vorthak spoke in his crystal chime voice as the morning session drew to a close. Counselor Murphy, does the defense have any additional evidence to present? The ancient being's transparent form shifted colors as light passed through his crystalline structure. The court has reviewed your technical data and expert testimony. There was a note of finality in the judge's harmonic tones. The defense attorney looked toward Lisa and Rex with desperation in his eyes. Conventional evidence was not sufficient to overcome the galaxy's prejudices against human military methods. Murphy knew that his client was innocent of the charges, but proving it to an alien court seemed impossible. The prosecution had done an excellent job of presenting selective evidence that supported their narrative. Your Honors. Murphy spoke with the careful precision of someone making a last desperate gambit. There is one additional witness who was present for every moment of the Battle of Kepler 442b. The defense attorney gestured toward the German Shepherd lying beside the defendant's platform. Rex was Commander Martinez's partner during the entire operation and recorded detailed sensor data through his cybernetic implants. The courtroom erupted in what could only be described as alien laughter. Judge Creelan made a bubbling sound through her aquatic life support system, while Judge Nalvex clicked his mandibles rapidly. Even some of the spectators produced their species equivalent of amused sounds. The idea that an animal could provide Meaningful testimony seemed absurd to beings who had never experienced genuine interspecies cooperation. Prosecutor Nalthor stood with obvious satisfaction in his serpentine features. Your Honor, the defense has clearly reached the limits of rational argument. The Scythian's voice carried mockery as he addressed the judicial panel. Animals cannot comprehend the complexities of warfare and justice. His scaled head turned toward Rex with obvious disdain. This creature is nothing more than a trained pet with some technological accessories. Lisa felt anger rising in her chest as the aliens dismissed her partner with casual cruelty. These beings understood individual intelligence but had never learned to recognize distributed intelligence that spanned multiple species. They could not grasp that Rex was more than just an enhanced animal. He was a soldier who had earned his rank through service and sacrifice alongside human warriors. Your Honors, Lisa spoke for the first time since giving her name and rank. The quantum restraints hummed as she stood to address the court directly. You underestimate both my species and my partner. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded troops in actual combat. Rex is not just a dog. He is a soldier who earned his rank through service and sacrifice. If you want the truth about what happened on Kepler 442b, let him show you. The alien judges conferred among themselves in their various languages. Harmonic crystal chimes mixed with aquatic bubbling and insectoid clicking as they debated this unprecedented request. No animal had ever been allowed to testify in a galactic court. The legal precedent alone would be revolutionary if they agreed to hear from the enhanced dog. Judge Vorthak finally spoke after several minutes of consultation. The court finds this request highly irregular. The ancient being's crystalline form reflected rainbow patterns as he considered the implications. However, in the interest of complete justice, we will allow a technical demonstration of the animal's recorded data. There was clear skepticism in his harmonic voice. This should conclusively demonstrate the limitations of non-sentient witnesses, or Rex. Raised his head as technicians approached with neural interface equipment designed to connect his cybernetic implants to the courtroom's holographic systems. The dog remained perfectly still as they attached quantum cables to the ports behind his ears. His enhanced brown eyes looked toward Lisa for confirmation before allowing the connection to be completed. The defense attorney felt a mixture of hope and terror as the interface systems activated. Everything depended on whether Rex's recorded memories could convey the complete truth of what had happened during those desperate hours on Kepler 442b. If the dog's testimony failed to convince the alien jury, both he and Lisa would face the consequences of humanity's first major war crimes conviction. The holographic projectors hummed to life as Rex's cybernetic implants synchronized with the alien technology. What happened next would either vindicate humanity's military methods or confirm the galaxy's worst suspicions about human barbarism. The courtroom fell silent as beings from 12 different species prepared to experience warfare through the enhanced senses of a loyal dog who had never left his partner's side. The courtroom's massive holographic displays flickered to life as Rex's cybernetic implants synchronized with the alien technology. The neural interface translated his enhanced memories into visual data that filled the chamber with three-dimensional images more detailed than any previous evidence. The alien jury leaned forward in their seats as they prepared to witness the battle of Kepler 442b through completely different senses. The first images showed the human colony of New Houston from ground level through Rex's enhanced vision. The dog's cybernetic eyes could see across broader light spectrums than any organic creature. Electromagnetic signatures appeared as colored overlays on buildings and vehicles. Chemical traces in the air showed up as visible streams of data flowing through the settlement streets and corridors. Judge Vorthak's crystalline form reflected the holographic light as he studied the unprecedented perspective. The ancient being had never seen tactical data presented through animal senses before. Rex's memories included not just visual information, but also smell traces that had been converted into chemical analysis data. The dog's enhanced nose could detect molecular compositions that sophisticated sensors might miss. The timeline advanced to show Zeltharian ships arriving in orbit above the planet. Through Rex's electromagnetic sensors, the alien vessels appeared surrounded by energy signatures that revealed their true capabilities. The prosecution had claimed these were peaceful exploration ships, but the sensor data showed military-grade weapons and shield systems. The ships were clearly configured for planetary assault rather than diplomatic contact. Prosecutor Nalthor shifted uncomfortably in his seat as his version of events began to unravel. The Scythian had expected the dog's testimony to be meaningless gibberish that would further discredit the human defense. Instead, Rex's enhanced senses were revealing details that no other witness could have detected. The snake-like alien's forked tongue flicked out nervously as he watched his carefully constructed case dissolving. The holographic display zoomed in to show Zeltharian shuttles landing near the colony's water treatment facility. Through Rex's chemical sensors, toxic compounds became visible as purple streams flowing from the alien ships into the facility's intake pipes. The dog's cybernetic implants had automatically analyzed the molecular structure and identified the substances as biological weapons designed to target human genetic markers. Lisa watched the alien jury's reactions as the truth finally emerged. The Zeltharian Empire had not come to Kepler 442b for peaceful negotiations. They had arrived with pre-planned genocide weapons intended to eliminate the human colonists while making their deaths appear natural. The prosecution's narrative about defensive peacekeepers was completely false. Rex's memories continued with enhanced audio recordings of Zeltharian communications that had been intercepted by his cybernetic systems. The alien soldiers were discussing timetables for poison distribution and body disposal. Mass graves had already been excavated outside the colony using automated digging equipment. The invaders had never intended to leave any human survivors. Judge Krelon made disturbed bubbling sounds through her aquatic life support system as the evidence mounted. The Morian judge had believed the prosecution's claims about human aggression, but Rex's sensor data told a completely different story. The Zeltharian forces had committed war crimes before the first shot was fired. The human response had been purely defensive. The holographic timeline advanced to show Lisa taking her sniper position on the rocky outcrop overlooking the colony. Through Rex's enhanced vision, her tactical reasoning became clear. Every target she selected was directly connected to the poison distribution network. Her seemingly random kills were actually surgical, strikes designed to disable the Zeltharian bioweapon system with minimal casualties. Rex's memories revealed the complete tactical picture that orbital cameras could never capture. The dog had been running reconnaissance missions throughout the colony, while Lisa provided overwatch from her elevated position. His enhanced senses detected Zeltharian soldiers forcing human civilians into contaminated areas where the biological weapons would kill them faster. The alien jury watched in stunned silence as Rex's recordings showed Zeltharian troops herding human children toward poisoned water sources. The invaders were not trying to minimize civilian casualties as the prosecution claimed. They were actively trying to maximize the death toll while maintaining plausible deniability about the cause. The biological weapons were designed to mimic natural diseases. Judge Nalvex clicked his mandibles rapidly as he processed the implications of the evidence. The insectoid Thrakari had compound eyes that allowed him to see multiple perspectives simultaneously, but even he had never witnessed such detailed combat recordings. Rex's cybernetic implants had captured electromagnetic signatures, chemical traces, audio communications, and tactical movements with perfect accuracy. The holographic display showed Lisa's most controversial shot from the prosecution's evidence. The orbital footage had made it look like she killed a Zeltharian medic who was treating wounded soldiers. However, Rex's enhanced sensors revealed that the supposed medic was actually injecting human prisoners with concentrated doses of the biological weapon. The alien was committing murder while disguised as a healer. Prosecutor Nalthor tried to object to the evidence but found himself speechless as his entire case collapsed. The Scythian had built his prosecution on the assumption that animal testimony would be worthless. He had never considered that enhanced cybernetic implants could provide more accurate data than conventional recording equipment. The dog's memory banks contained quantum-encrypted files that could not be falsified or altered. Rex's recordings revealed even more disturbing details about Zeltharian war crimes. The alien forces had brought slave ships that were already loaded with restraint systems sized for human captives. Children's toys and clothing had been cataloged for distribution to Zeltharian families who had purchased human slaves in advance. The entire operation had been planned as commercial genocide. The alien jury members exchanged shocked looks as they realized how completely they had been deceived. Many galactic species practiced slavery, but the scale and systematic nature of the Zeltharian plan was unprecedented. The Empire had intended to eliminate human civilization while selling survivors into bondage across multiple star systems. The poison attack was just the opening move in a much larger atrocity. Lisa felt vindication as the truth finally emerged through her partner's testimony. Every shot she had taken during the battle was justified by the intelligence that Rex had gathered. The dog's enhanced senses had revealed the Zeltharian conspiracy in real time, allowing her to target the most critical threats to human survival. Their partnership had saved thousands of innocent lives. The holographic evidence continued for 2 more hours as Rex's memories revealed the complete scope of Zeltharian war crimes. The dog had recorded electromagnetic signatures that proved premeditation, chemical analysis that documented biological weapons, and audio intercepts that showed criminal intent. No other witness could have gathered such comprehensive evidence during active combat operations. Judge Vorthak finally called for a recess as the courtroom struggled to process the implications of what they had witnessed. The crystalline being's harmonic voice carried notes of confusion and concern as he addressed the chamber. The trial had taken a completely unexpected turn that challenged fundamental assumptions about intelligence, testimony, and the nature of interspecies cooperation. The alien spectators sat in stunned silence as the holographic displays faded. Many had come expecting to see human brutality confirmed, but instead witnessed something unprecedented. They had seen genuine partnership between 2 different species working together with perfect trust and coordination. The galaxy had never experienced anything like the bond between Lisa and Rex. The recess ended with an atmosphere of tension that filled the enormous courtroom like an electric charge. Alien representatives whispered among themselves in dozens of different languages as they tried to process what Rex's memories had revealed. The neural interface remained connected to the dog's cybernetic implants as technicians prepared to continue the unprecedented testimony that was reshaping galactic understanding of human military capabilities. Judge Vorthak called the session back to order with harmonic tones that carried uncertainty. For the first time during the trial, the crystalline being's transparent form seemed dimmer as light passed through his structure. The court will continue reviewing the enhanced testimony of the witness, designated as Rex. The ancient judge paused as if still struggling to believe he was accepting evidence from what other species considered a mere animal. The holographic displays activated, again to show more of Rex's recorded memories from the Battle of Kepler 4 and 42b. This time the neural interface focused on the emotional and psychological aspects of the human-dog partnership that had never been witnessed by galactic civilization. The alien jury watched in fascination as they experienced the trust and communication between 2 different species, working as a unified tactical unit. Rex's enhanced sensors had recorded biometric data from Lisa throughout the battle. The displays showed her heart rate, stress hormones, and neural activity patterns as she made life-or-death decisions under extreme pressure. However, the most remarkable revelation was how Rex's own bio-readings synchronized with his human partner. The dog was not simply following orders but actively participating in tactical decision-making. Judge Kreelan bubbled softly through her aquatic life support system as she observed the unprecedented data. The Morian judge had studied interspecies relationships for centuries, but had never seen anything approaching this level of genuine cooperation. Most galactic civilizations used other species as tools or servants, but these humans treated their animal partners as equals with different capabilities. The holographic timeline advanced to show a critical moment when Zeltharian forces had surrounded a group of human children near the colony's medical center. Lisa was too far away to engage the aliens directly, but Rex was close enough to intervene. The dog's memories showed him making an independent tactical decision to create a distraction while Lisa repositioned for a clear shot at the Zeltharian squad leader. Rex had charged directly into the alien formation without waiting for orders from his human partner. His cybernetic implants calculated optimal approach vectors, while his enhanced muscles carried him forward at speeds that surprised the Zeltharian soldiers. The dog's attack was not mindless aggression but a carefully coordinated maneuver designed to give Lisa the tactical advantage she needed. The alien jury watched in amazement as Rex's memories revealed his thought processes during the assault. The dog's cybernetic brain had evaluated multiple tactical options and selected the approach with the highest probability of success. He understood the risks to himself, but prioritized protecting the human children over his own safety. This was not animal instinct, but conscious military decision-making. Prosecutor Nalthor sat rigid in his chair as his entire worldview crumbled around him. The Scythian had built his career on the assumption that non-sapient species were incapable of complex reasoning. Rex's testimony proved that intelligence could take forms that traditional galactic science had never recognized. The dog was demonstrating cognitive abilities that challenged fundamental assumptions about consciousness and sentience. The holographic evidence revealed even more disturbing aspects of the Zeltharian war crimes. Rex's enhanced hearing had recorded conversations between alien officers discussing the profitability of human slaves in various galactic markets. Children were considered especially valuable because they could be trained from young ages to serve Zeltharian families. The entire invasion had been motivated by commercial greed rather than territorial disputes. Lisa watched the alien jury's reactions as they witnessed the true scope of the Zeltharian atrocities. Several species in the courtroom had their own histories of slavery, but the systematic nature of the Empire's plan was shocking even by galactic standards. The aliens had intended to breed humans like livestock, while maintaining the pretense of civilized behavior toward other galactic powers. Rex's memories continued with footage of him leading Zeltharian civilian refugees to safety during the battle. The dog had encountered alien non-combatants who were also being poisoned by their own military's indiscriminate biological weapons. His cybernetic systems identified them as innocents, and he guided them away from contaminated areas while Lisa provided covering fire against their supposed protectors. Judge Nalvex clicked his mandibles in what might have been approval as he observed the dog's behavior toward alien civilians. The insectoid Thrakari valued honor in warfare and could recognize that Rex had shown more mercy than the Zeltharian soldiers who were supposed to be protecting their own people. The dog's actions demonstrated moral reasoning that many sapient species struggled to achieve. The neural interface revealed the emotional bond between Lisa and Rex that transcended simple training or conditioning. The dog's biometric readings showed genuine affection and loyalty toward his human partner, but also independent judgment about tactical situations. He was not blindly obedient, but chose to trust Lisa's leadership because he understood her competence and integrity. The alien spectators watched footage of Lisa risking her own life to protect Rex when Zeltharian forces targeted the dog with heavy weapons. She abandoned her concealed sniper position to draw enemy fire away from her partner, even though it exposed her to massive tactical disadvantage. The trust between the two species flowed in both directions, with neither considering the other expendable. Colonel Murphy stood to address the court as the emotional impact of the evidence became clear. The defense attorney's voice carried new confidence as he gestured toward the holographic displays. Your Honors, what you have witnessed is unprecedented in galactic history. This is not the relationship between master and pet that the prosecution described. This is genuine partnership between equals who happen to be different species. The holographic timeline advanced to show the aftermath of the battle when Zeltharian reinforcements arrived to find their invasion force defeated. Rex's enhanced sensors detected the newcomers' shock and confusion as they discovered the evidence of war crimes committed by their own military. Many alien soldiers refused to continue the operation when they learned about the biological weapons and slave ships. Judge Forthak spoke in harmonic tones that carried wonder. For the first time during the trial, the court has never witnessed testimony of this nature or quality. The crystalline being's form seemed brighter as light refracted through his structure. The evidence presented through enhanced animal senses reveals details that no conventional witness could have detected. There was growing respect in the ancient judge's voice. Prosecutor Nalthor finally found his voice, but it carried none of its earlier confidence. Your Honor, even if we accept the technical accuracy of this testimony, it does not change the fact that excessive force was used. The Scythian's argument sounded hollow after the revelation of systematic Zeltharian war crimes. His scaled skin had lost its earlier luster as he struggled to maintain his prosecution. Rex's memories revealed one final devastating piece of evidence against the Zeltharian Empire. The dog's cybernetic implants had recorded electromagnetic signatures from the alien command ship that showed similar biological weapons being deployed against dozens of other worlds. The invasion of Kepler 442b was part of a galaxy-wide genocide campaign that had been hidden from the Galactic Federation for decades. The alien jury sat in stunned silence as they realized the true scope of Zeltharian crimes against multiple species throughout known space. The Empire had been using biological weapons to commit genocide while selling survivors into slavery across their territory. The human colony had simply been the latest target in a pattern of atrocities that spanned centuries. The third day of testimony began with chaos as news of Rex's revelations spread across the galaxy through real-time broadcasts. Protesters gathered outside Zeltharian government buildings on dozens of worlds as other species demanded explanations for the biological weapons programs. The courtroom atmosphere crackled with tension as beings who had supported the prosecution began questioning everything they thought they knew about the Empire's military operations. Prosecutor Nalthor approached the judicial panel with obvious desperation in his serpentine movements. The Sethian's scaled skin appeared dull under the courtroom lights as his entire case disintegrated around him. Your Honors, I request that this animal testimony be stricken from the record as unreliable. His forked tongue flicked nervously between words. Enhanced implants could have been programmed to produce false evidence. Judge Vorthak responded with harmonic tones that carried skeptical notes. The crystalline being's transparent form reflected rainbow patterns as he considered the prosecutor's desperate objection. Counselor Nalthor, the quantum encryption in the cybernetic memory banks makes falsification impossible. The court's technical experts have verified the authenticity of all recorded data. There was finality in the ancient judge's crystal chime voice. The holographic displays continued showing Rex's enhanced memories as more evidence of Zeltharian war crimes emerged. The dog's cybernetic systems had recorded electromagnetic signatures from biological weapons facilities on multiple worlds throughout the Empire's territory. Slave markets appeared in the data streams with detailed pricing information for different species and age groups. The entire galactic economy was built on systematic genocide and trafficking. Representatives from the Zeltharian delegation began leaving the courtroom as their government's atrocities were exposed in unprecedented detail. Many aliens refused to remain associated with an empire that had committed crimes against dozens of species over several centuries. The political implications of Rex's testimony were reshaping galactic power structures in real time as traditional alliances crumbled. Lisa watched the proceedings with growing satisfaction as the truth finally emerged through her partner's enhanced senses. Every decision she had made during the Battle of Kepler 442b was being vindicated by evidence that no conventional witness could have gathered. The bond between human and dog had produced intelligence capabilities that surpassed anything the galaxy had previously experienced. Rex remained perfectly still beside the defendant's platform as his memories continued playing through the neural interface. The dog's cybernetic implants processed the courtroom's electromagnetic signatures while maintaining connection to the holographic systems. His enhanced brown eyes tracked movement throughout the chamber as alien spectators reacted to each new revelation with shock and disgust. The neural interface revealed a particularly damning piece of evidence when Rex's enhanced hearing replayed a conversation between Zeltharian officers discussing profits from previous genocide operations. The aliens had refined their biological weapons through testing on unwilling populations across multiple star systems. Human colonies were just the latest target in a program that had murdered billions of beings over the past 2 centuries. Judge Krelan made distressed, bubbling sounds through her aquatic life support system as the scope of Zeltharian crimes became clear. The Morian judge had presided over war crimes trials before, but had never encountered systematic atrocities on this scale. The evidence suggests that the Zeltharian Empire has been conducting genocide operations while maintaining diplomatic relations with the Galactic Federation. Her voice carried horror and betrayal. Colonel Murphy stood to address the court with renewed confidence in his client's innocence. The defense attorney gestured toward the holographic displays that showed Rex's tactical recordings. Your Honors, Commander Martinez was not committing war crimes during the Battle of Kepler 442b. She was preventing genocide while protecting innocent civilians from biological weapons attacks. His military bearing conveyed absolute certainty in the righteousness of human actions. The prosecution's case continued to collapse as more alien governments distanced themselves from the Zeltharian Empire. Trade agreements were being canceled, and diplomatic missions recalled as species across the galaxy, realized they had been unknowingly supporting a genocidal regime. The political and economic implications of Rex's testimony were reshaping galactic civilization in ways that no one had anticipated. Judge Nalvex clicked his mandibles rapidly as he processed additional evidence from the dog's cybernetic memory banks. The insectoid Thrakari had compound eyes that allowed him to analyze multiple data streams simultaneously. The electromagnetic signatures indicate that biological weapons facilities exist on over 40 worlds throughout Zeltharian space. His buzzing voice carried disbelief at the scale of the Empire's criminal operations. Rex's memories revealed that many Zeltharian soldiers were also victims of their own government's policies. The dog's enhanced sensors had detected elevated stress hormones and neural activity patterns indicating that many alien troops were being coerced into participating in the genocide operations. Fear and intimidation were being used to maintain military discipline within the Empire's forces. The holographic timeline advanced to show Lisa and Rex working together to document evidence of war crimes while simultaneously fighting for their lives. The human sniper had used her tactical position to gather intelligence while eliminating immediate threats to civilian populations. Her partner had collected physical samples and recorded detailed sensor data that would later prove invaluable for prosecution efforts. Prosecutor Nalthor made one final desperate attempt to salvage his case by arguing that human military tactics were still excessively violent, regardless of Zeltharian crimes. The Scythian's voice cracked with strain as he tried to maintain his prosecution. Two wrongs do not make a right under galactic law. The defendant's actions may have been justified, but they were still disproportionate to the immediate threat. Lisa finally spoke again after listening to hours of testimony about her actions during the battle. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had made life or death decisions under impossible circumstances. Your Honors, every shot I took was calculated to save lives while minimizing casualties. Rex and I worked together to gather evidence that would expose these crimes to galactic justice. We did our duty as soldiers and as sentient beings. The alien jury exchanged meaningful looks as they realized the implications of what they had witnessed. Humanity possessed something that no other galactic species had achieved. The partnership between human and dog represented a new form of intelligence that combined different sensory capabilities with shared decision-making. The galaxy had never seen genuine interspecies cooperation at this level. Judge Vorthak called for another recess as the court struggled to process the revolutionary implications of the evidence. The crystalline being's harmonic voice carried notes of confusion and wonder as he addressed the chamber. The court requires time to evaluate testimony that challenges fundamental assumptions about intelligence, consciousness, and the nature of interspecies relationships. The ancient judge had presided over thousands of trials, but had never encountered anything like this. The courtroom buzzed with activity as alien representatives contacted their governments for guidance on how to respond to the Zeltharian revelations. Many species were discovering that they had been unwitting accomplices to genocide through trade agreements and diplomatic relationships. The political ramifications of Rex's testimony were spreading across the galaxy like ripples. In a cosmic pond, Rex remained calm and alert as technicians disconnected the neural interface from his cybernetic implants. The dog's enhanced sensors detected elevated stress hormones throughout the courtroom as alien beings struggled to comprehend what they had witnessed. His tactical programming analyzed the changing political dynamics while his loyalty to Lisa remained absolute and unwavering. The trial had become something far more significant than a simple war crimes proceeding. It was reshaping galactic understanding of intelligence, cooperation, and the possibilities for genuine partnership between different species. The bond between human and dog was proving to be more revolutionary than any weapon or technology that humanity had ever developed. The final session of the trial began with Judge Vorthak calling the court to order in harmonic tones that carried unprecedented gravity. The crystalline being's transparent form seemed to glow brighter as light refracted through his structure, reflecting the historic nature of the proceedings. Representatives from dozens of galactic governments filled every available seat as beings across known space waited to hear the verdict that would reshape interspecies relationships forever. Lisa stood in her quantum restraints, with Rex beside her as the judicial panel prepared to render judgment. The German Shepherd's cybernetic implants gleamed silver in the courtroom lights as he maintained perfect military bearing, despite the chaos erupting across galactic civilization. News of the Zeltharian war crimes had triggered political upheavals on hundreds of worlds as species demanded justice for centuries of hidden atrocities. Judge Krelan spoke first through her aquatic translation system, her webbed hands gesturing as bubbles rose through her life support tank. The evidence presented through enhanced animal testimony has revealed crimes of unprecedented scope and systematic brutality. The Morian judge's voice carried horror at the scale of Zeltharian genocide operations. This court has never encountered documentation of such comprehensive atrocities against multiple galactic species. The prosecution table sat empty as Prosecutor Nalthor had withdrawn from the case after his government disavowed the Zeltharian Empire's actions. The Scythian legal system was conducting its own investigation into how their prosecutor had unknowingly become an accomplice to covering up massive war crimes. Political alliances that had existed for centuries were dissolving as the true nature of the Empire became clear. Judge Nalvex clicked his mandibles as he addressed the unprecedented nature of the testimony that had revolutionized the trial. The insectoid Thrakari's compound eyes reflected multiple images of the courtroom as he spoke in his electronically processed buzzing voice. The court acknowledges that the witness designated as Rex has provided evidence of superior quality and accuracy compared to any conventional testimony in galactic legal history. Rex raised his head slightly at the mention of his name but remained in perfect position beside his human partner. The dog's enhanced hearing detected conversations throughout the chamber as alien beings discussed the implications of accepting animal testimony in legal proceedings. His cybernetic implants processed dozens of electromagnetic signatures while maintaining awareness of potential threats to Lisa's safety. Judge Vorthak stood to address the full court as the moment of judgment arrived. The ancient crystalline being's harmonic voice carried across the chamber with perfect clarity as translation systems converted his speech into dozens of different languages. In light of the overwhelming evidence of Zeltharian war crimes, this court finds the defendant Lisa Martinez not guilty of all charges. The pronouncement created an immediate uproar. Among the alien spectators, Colonel Murphy felt relief flooding through his body as his client was officially vindicated after days of testimony that had exposed the galaxy's darkest secrets. The defense attorney's military training helped him maintain composure despite the historic nature of the verdict. Humanity's first major trial before galactic justice had ended with complete exoneration and revolutionary changes to interspecies law. The judicial panel continued with additional pronouncements that shocked the assembled representatives. Judge Krelan bubbled softly before speaking in her aquatic voice. Furthermore, this court grants the witness Rex official legal standing as an honorary citizen of the Galactic Federation. The Morian judge paused to let the implications sink in. His testimony has proven that intelligence and consciousness can take forms that traditional galactic science has failed to recognize. Lisa felt pride and vindication as her partner received the recognition he deserved for his service and sacrifice. The German Shepherd had risked his life countless times to protect human civilians and gather evidence of alien war crimes. His cybernetic enhancements made him more than just an animal, but the galaxy was finally acknowledging his sentience and moral reasoning capabilities. Judge Nalvex announced additional consequences of the trial that would reshape galactic civilization for centuries to come. The Zeltharian Empire faces immediate suspension from the Galactic Federation, pending comprehensive investigation of genocide operations. His buzzing voice carried satisfaction at the prospect of justice for billions of murdered beings. War crimes tribunals will be established for each affected species and world. The political ramifications continued to spread as news of the verdict reached Zeltharian space, where rebellions were already erupting against the genocidal government. Slave populations were being liberated by their own guards who refused to continue supporting the criminal regime. The Empire's military forces were fragmenting as officers and soldiers learned the true nature of their operations. Judge Vorthak made the most revolutionary announcement of all as he addressed the continuing implications of Rex's testimony. The Galactic Federation hereby establishes new legal precedents for interspecies cooperation and enhanced animal citizenship. The crystalline being's harmonic tones carried historic significance. Other species are encouraged to develop similar partnerships that could benefit all galactic civilization. Rex received the formal insignia of galactic citizenship in a ceremony that was broadcast across hundreds of worlds. The quantum medallion was designed to interface with his cybernetic implants and grant him access to Federation databases and communication networks. For the first time in galactic history, a non-humanoid being had achieved full legal rights and recognition as a sentient citizen. Lisa was offered immediate promotion to Admiral in command of the first interspecies military unit in galactic history. The Federation wanted to learn from humanity's unique ability to form genuine partnerships with other species as a model for ending centuries of hierarchical oppression. Her tactical expertise combined with Rex's intelligence-gathering capabilities represented a new paradigm for military cooperation. The trial's conclusion triggered massive changes throughout galactic civilization as species began questioning their relationships with other forms of life on their worlds. Many governments started programs to enhance and educate animal populations that had previously been ignored or exploited. The human example of interspecies partnership offered hope for solving conflicts that had seemed intractable for millennia. Colonel Murphy addressed the court one final time as the historic proceedings drew to a close. Your Honors, this trial has proven that justice requires understanding perspectives that may be unfamiliar or unexpected. The defense attorney's voice carried satisfaction at achieving complete vindication for his clients. Commander Martinez and Rex have shown the galaxy what genuine cooperation between different species can accomplish. The quantum restraints around Lisa's wrists and ankles powered down for the final time as she was officially released from all charges. The German shepherd beside her wagged his tail once in a gesture that spoke volumes about trust, loyalty, and the unbreakable bonds that could exist between different forms of consciousness. The galaxy would never be the same after witnessing their partnership. Judge Vorthak concluded the session with harmonic tones that carried hope for the future of interspecies relationships. This court is adjourned with the recognition that intelligence, consciousness, and moral reasoning exist in forms that we are only beginning to understand. The crystalline being's final words resonated through the chamber as beings from dozens of worlds contemplated a future built on cooperation rather than domination. The trial had ended, but its implications would continue reshaping galactic civilization for generations to come as species learn to see beyond their own limited perspectives and embrace the possibilities of genuine partnership across the boundaries of evolution and biology. 6 months after the historic trial concluded, Admiral Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the UFS Harmony, the galaxy's first interspecies warship designed around the revolutionary concept of human-animal partnerships. The vessel's sleek corridors hummed with activity as crews from multiple species worked alongside enhanced animal partners in ways that would have been unimaginable before Rex's testimony changed galactic civilization forever. Rex occupied his specially designed tactical station on the bridge, his cybernetic implants interfacing directly with the ship's sensor networks and communication systems. The quantum insignia of his galactic citizenship gleamed on his collar as he monitored electromagnetic signatures from across local space. His enhanced brown eyes tracked multiple data streams while his nose analyzed air composition for potential threats that conventional sensors might miss. The bridge's main display showed their current mission parameters as they approached the Kepler 438 system where Zeltharian slave camps were still operating despite the Empire's political collapse. Rebellion and civil war had fragmented the former galactic power, but many local commanders continued their criminal operations while central authority crumbled. The UFS Harmony represented the Federation's new approach to liberation missions. Captain Sarah Wells approached from the communication station with updates from Federation Command. The human officer had been selected for her experience working with enhanced animal partners during Earth's colonial expansion programs. Admiral, we're receiving surrender signals from 3 orbital platforms. Her voice carried satisfaction at the peaceful resolution. The Zeltharian garrison commanders want to negotiate rather than fight. Lisa studied the tactical displays while Rex's enhanced senses provided additional information about electromagnetic signatures and chemical traces in the local space. The dog's cybernetic implants detected stress pheromones from the Zeltharian ships, indicating genuine fear rather than tactical deception. Many alien military units had surrendered immediately when they learned about the Federation's new interspecies capabilities. The revolution in galactic thinking triggered by the trial had spread far beyond legal precedents into practical military and scientific applications. Dozens of species were experimenting with enhanced animal partnerships based on the human model. Aquarian dolphins with cybernetic implants were revolutionizing underwater exploration, while Terran eagles with sensor enhancements were providing unprecedented aerial reconnaissance capabilities. Lieutenant Commander Jake Thompson reported from the engineering section, where human technicians worked alongside enhanced Rigelian cats whose enhanced reflexes and electromagnetic sensitivity made them perfect for maintaining delicate quantum systems. Admiral, all ship systems are operating at optimal efficiency. The engineering officer's voice carried amazement at how effective the interspecies teams had become. The animal partners are detecting maintenance issues hours before our instruments register problems. Rex detected incoming communications from Earth Defense, Command, and transmitted the priority codes to Lisa's personal display. Admiral Susan Cross appeared on the holographic communicator, with updates about the expanding partnership programs throughout human space. Lisa, the new training protocols are exceeding all expectations. The senior officer's voice carried excitement. Every human military unit now includes enhanced animal partners, and our tactical effectiveness has improved by 300%. The success of human-animal partnerships had inspired other species to re-examine their relationships with non-sentient life forms on their own worlds. The Centaurian government was developing programs with enhanced simians, while the Vegan Confederation was experimenting with cybernetically enhanced avian species. The rigid hierarchies that had dominated galactic civilization for millennia were giving way to cooperative networks. Lisa received reports from liberation operations across former Zeltharian territory where interspecies teams were freeing enslaved populations with minimal casualties. The combination of human tactical precision with enhanced animal intelligence gathering was proving devastatingly effective against conventional military forces. Many garrison commanders surrendered rather than face opponents who seemed to anticipate their every move. Rex monitored slave camp communications through his cybernetic implants and detected desperation in the Zeltharian transmissions. The alien guards were abandoning their posts as news of Federation liberation forces spread throughout the system. Many former slaves were already organizing their own rebellion with weapons taken from fleeing guards. The criminal empire was collapsing from within as its victims found hope. The bridge crew worked with seamless efficiency as human officers coordinated with their animal partners to manage the complex liberation operation. Ensign Maria Rodriguez worked with her enhanced ferret partner scout to monitor internal ship systems, while Chief Petty Officer Robert Kim collaborated with his cybernetically enhanced German Shepherd Thor to coordinate landing party operations. Captain Wells reported successful contact with the slave camp leadership as former prisoners took control of their facilities. Admiral, the camp commanders are requesting immediate Federation protection from Zeltharian military units that might attempt to recapture the facilities. Her voice carried urgency as she relayed the desperate pleas from liberated beings. They're offering complete cooperation with our investigation teams. Lisa authorized the deployment of Federation peacekeeping forces while Rex analyzed the electromagnetic signatures of approaching ships to determine their intentions. The dog's enhanced senses detected stress patterns consistent with genuine refugees rather than military deception. His cybernetic implants processed thousands of data points to provide tactical recommendations to his human partner. The liberation of Kepler 438 proceeded with unprecedented efficiency as interspecies teams coordinated rescue operations across multiple worlds simultaneously. Human tactical precision combined with enhanced animal sensory capabilities allowed Federation forces to anticipate and counter every defensive strategy that Zeltharian forces attempted. The former Empire's military doctrine had no answer for opponents who could literally smell their fear and detect their electromagnetic signatures. Admiral Cross transmitted additional orders as the mission expanded beyond simple liberation to comprehensive reconstruction of the damaged systems. Lisa, the Federation Council wants your task force to establish permanent monitoring stations The senior officer's voice carried the weight of galactic politics. "We need to ensure that these atrocities never happen again anywhere unknown." Space Rex detected familiar scents in the air recycling system that indicated the presence of human children among the liberated slave populations. His enhanced olfactory systems could distinguish individual humans by their genetic markers and stress hormone levels. The dog's cybernetic implants automatically flagged priority medical cases for immediate attention by Federation medical teams. The success of the UFS Harmony and her sister ships was inspiring political changes throughout the galaxy as species recognized the advantages of genuine interspecies cooperation. The Galactic Federation was restructuring its military and scientific organizations around partnership models that leveraged the unique capabilities of different life forms working together, rather than in hierarchical competition. Lisa looked down at Rex as he monitored the successful conclusion of another liberation operation. The German shepherd's tail wagged once in a simple gesture that conveyed satisfaction at a mission completed successfully with minimal casualties. Their partnership had evolved from a military necessity during the Battle of Kepler-Dortskirkdibe into a symbol of hope for the future of galactic civilization. The bridge's main display showed star charts marking hundreds of worlds where interspecies partnership programs were being established based on the human model. The galaxy was learning that cooperation between different forms of consciousness could achieve results that no single species could accomplish alone. The rigid thinking that had enabled centuries of oppression and genocide was giving way to flexible collaboration. Captain Wells announced the final phase of the liberation mission as Federation construction. Teams began establishing permanent facilities to support the former slave populations. Admiral, all objectives have been achieved ahead of schedule with 0 casualties among our forces. Her voice carried amazement at the effectiveness of their new tactical capabilities. The interspecies teams are performing beyond all projections. Rex settled into his tactical station as the UFS Harmony prepared for their next mission. In a galaxy that was rapidly embracing the revolutionary concept of partnership across species boundaries, his enhanced senses detected the contentment and hope radiating from the crew as they contemplated a future where intelligence and consciousness would be recognized in all their diverse forms. The stars ahead seemed brighter as they jumped to hyperspace, carrying the promise of genuine cooperation among the children of different worlds.